gums at each other any chance they get. The fight clock is brought to you by Modelo.
It's time
for you to sit back, relax, and listen to a complete and fucking utter armchair expert give his completely and utterly useless opinions on the one hell of an amazing sport that is MMA.
G'day, guys. This podcast is going to be a little bit different, and I do apologize if my voice sounds a little bit nasally. It is currently winter in Melbourne, and the weather is not the greatest. In fact, it is freezing tonight. So once this podcast is done, I'm going to bed to get up early tomorrow to catch, or hopefully catch, the White House card. But let's do a quick recap of UFC 328, where Sean Strickland somehow defied the odds and managed to beat Khamzat Chimeav to become the middleweight champion of the world once again. What more to even say? He managed to keep the fight up on the feet. He managed to beat Khamzat Chimeav on the feet, and yeah, I mean, even Khamzat handed him the belt afterwards, which kind of really said everything. But yeah, anyway, that not much more I could say there. I was really sort of shocked by that fight. So yeah. But let's get into UFC Freedom 250. Sorry about that. From the White House in Washington, D.C. Yeah, UFC Freedom 250 is an upcoming mixed martial arts event produced by the Ultimate Fighting Championship that is scheduled to take place on June 14, 2026 on the South Lawn of the White House in Washington, D.C. Oh, man. It's crazy that we're going to have a UFC fight. Why is Yahoo my default search? But anyway, there we go. UFC website, UFC Freedom 250. And yes, we know it's the most historic event of all time. Do we not have the card? Oh, we don't have the... okay, they're the title fights. Alright, so... Diego Lopez fights Steve Garcia at featherweight. Bo Nickel fights Kyle Delkaus. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Mauricio Ruffi fights Iron Mike Chandler at lightweight. Do apologize. Derek Lewis fights Josh Hokett at heavyweight. Sean O'Malley at bantamweight fights, I don't even want to try and pronounce his name. But Ciryl Gane fights Alex Poatan Pereira for the interim heavyweight championship, and Ilia Topuria fights Justin Gaethje to unify the lightweight championship. Pretty good card, I got to be honest. Would have been better if we'd had John Jones on it, but still a pretty good card. Now, how do I think the title fights are going to go? I really hope Alex wins at heavyweight. I really would hate it if Ciryl won because of what happened in the because of what happened in the Aspinall fight, and who even knows what will happen there, because there's a lot of talk around Tom Aspinall, which I might get to later. Really hope Alex wins, and I think he will. And who do I think will win out of Ilia and Justin? Ilia. Justin can bang, and we know he can take a punch, but there's not many that punch like Ilia. I hate the guy personally, but I got to admit that he is a good fighter. So I do think Ilia will unify the lightweight championship, unfortunately, much as I'd love it to be Justin. But yeah, there's UFC Freedom 250 pretty much. But we're not done. As I sort of alluded to before, there looks to be issues with Tom Aspinall. Eddie Hearn, his new manager, has come out and said that he will not allow Tom Aspinall to fight for the money that's in his contract. And look, in my opinion, I'm kind of glad Tom's got someone speaking for him, but if he really wanted to allow Tom to go and make boxing money, fighting Francis Ngannou or someone like that, he should have taken the Francis route and let Tom's contract lapse. He could vacate the belt, and then once he's done, I think he has 3 fights left. Once he's done, then he goes and makes boxing money. That's the route I would have gone. I would not have tried to take the UFC on, because if they'll let their most famous fighter sit out for as long as they have, and we'll get to that again in a minute, they'll do it to Tom Aspinall without blinking an eye. So, yeah, I don't know if that's going to be the wisest decision, but I guess we'll see how that plays out. But we, all going well, are finally going to be able to do a podcast about a Conor McGregor fight, because during the MVP MMA event, ironically, as Francis Ngannou was walking out, which I didn't even talk about, but that's a whole other thing that I might discuss in another podcast or at the end of this, maybe, who knows. But during that event, Dana White announced the card for UFC 329, and the main event is Max Holloway versus Conor McGregor 2. 5 years in the making, we hopefully will finally get to see the notorious grace the octagon once again. And even though I feel like I know how the fight's going to go, because it's a very tough fight for Conor to take when he first comes back. I mean, we all know what Max did to Justin. I'm definitely still keen to see the return of the Mac and finally get to be able to talk about it on this podcast. And I guess we may as well talk about MVP MMA, even though it happened in May. Yeah, look, it was a spectacle, and I do hope they sound like they do want to make something of it, so I guess we'll watch this space. But it was a spectacle, but it was definitely for the casual fans of the big names, really. Ronda tapped Gina in 17 seconds. Nate got beat the fuck out of, and Francis beat up the tin can within no time, as we all thought he would. But I guess let's see where it goes. Hopefully they do become a genuine alternative in MMA, because we've been crying out for that for years. We do need something else other than the UFC and another place for fighters to go to make money. So let's hope that happens. But anyway, guys, this is a historic card, and we've got a good few months coming up, of which I'll cover all of it here over the next few months. But this is a once-in-a-lifetime card, and I hope I'll be able to see it. I don't know if my pub will be watching it, but wherever you guys watch it, as always, I hope you enjoy it. And till next time, as always, catches.